Welcome to Passive Aggressive Income. This program may contain strong language. The content may not be suitable for audiences under the age of 17. We understand many of our listeners may not agree with all of our personal viewpoints. We in no way, shape, or form mean to be offensive to anyone. Our show notes will provide all of our source material included for each episode. Now let's get passive aggressive. Welcome back to another episode of Passive Aggressive Income. I am excited because Lexi is going to cover side hustles this episode. And if anybody knows Lexi or I, they know that we are just full, brimming with side hustles and ideas and projects. So take it away, Lexi.
Yeah, I think this is sort of a long overdue episode for us, because we are just such busy people who like love doing a whole bunch of different things all the time. And if you relate to that, I think that there are ways to make money from your hobbies and from the things that you just enjoy doing in life. So if you have a little extra time or you want some extra spending money or you're just really passionate about something, then keep listening to this episode as we're going to talk through some good ideas for side hustles and how to be successful doing them. So, what is a side hustle? I feel like that word gets thrown around a lot, especially in like, I think kind of 2019-ish was like, there was a really big push for just like grinding and like working really hard
Mhm.
and like doing a whole bunch of stuff. And it may have fallen off a little bit, and maybe now things are kind of more like relaxed, but I think that side hustles are still like a really good way to make a little bit of supplemental income. So that's basically what a side hustle is. It's like a gig that is not your main source of income that gives you some cash, and it's just kind of nice to have.
Yeah.
So think about your talents and your passions and how you might be able to monetize them. Because doing the things that you're interested in is the best way to have a side hustle. And the great thing about them is that you can put as much time or as little time and effort as you want because they're extra. They're not the main source of income.
Right.
And we've talked about this a whole bunch of times on the podcast, but know that it's okay to take breaks from your side hustles. They're going to be there when you have the time for them.
Yep. And even if you don't come back to it, like maybe you're just
Mhm.
like, I'm done with that. That was that era.
Yeah.
I've kind of grown out of it or I just lost interest in it. That's totally fine too.
Yeah, exactly. It's really just like up to whatever you think you can take on, and it's okay that things change. So let's go over a couple of different side hustle options. So we'll go through a few different categories. The first one is dancing, flow arts, other prop or body manipulation. We did have an interview with Anna Kruger a couple weeks, months ago, way back in one of our episodes, who is a flow artist, and she talked a lot about how she's made some money doing it. So with performing, teaching classes, and posting like online tutorials on YouTube or Instagram. Those are all really good ways to not only make a little bit of extra money, but have some fun experiences and connect with other cool people who are interested in what you're doing too.
Right.
Others are if you just love storytelling, you're really good at giving it advice, or just have like really specialized knowledge, then maybe podcasting is for you, or making YouTube videos, or doing some sort of like online courses, or writing a book like Mims is doing. A couple episodes back, we had a whole trilogy about how to write a book, or well, some tips on like how to make your writing better and how to
Hmm.
submit a query letter and just sort of the whole process with that. So sort of what we're doing on this podcast. We have a lot of like weird specialized information that we share, and that's something that you can take and take that in a bunch of different forms to make money off of it.
Yeah.
Arts and crafts. If you are just like a super artsy visual person, then maybe you want to start an online shop to sell some of your art directly, or teach classes, or do like little pop-up markets or tutorials. All those things. Like if I want to learn a new skill, I immediately go to YouTube. Like if I don't know how to do
Oh yeah.
something, then that's like the first stop. So if you feel like you're you have some good knowledge and tips to share about your art or your craft or whatever you just enjoy doing, then that's a good way to potentially make some extra money.
Yeah, and so I've actually had this weird experience where I was driving and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Man, this design would be really cool on a shirt." Just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I'm not a good drawer. I don't have any graphic design background. Like, I don't know anything
Hmm.
about that." So I'm like, "Let me outsource this and get a graphic designer." And then I actually had it printed on a few shirts and kind of started like my own, I'm not going to call it a brand, but my own apparel
Yeah.
essentially. And it's like things can come out of like the blue.
Hmm.
And that's the really cool thing about side hustles is that one day you're living your normal life and then the next day you're just like, I really actually do love knitting. Why don't I just try to knit myself into some money, into some cash
Yeah,
flow?
right. That's awesome. I have to know, what was the t-shirt design and can we get a picture of it?
Absolutely. So the best way to describe it was or is a girl lifting up her shirt and instead of boobs it's cherries and then
Oh, I
the
love that.
and it says cherry babe on the back.
Nice. That's so great. I love it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, well, definitely for those who are watching on YouTube, we'll put that on the screen so you can see Mim's art. I
Yeah.
love that. Just like having
Thank
a
you.
random idea and being like, yeah, I think I can make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just like, yeah, let me just get my own shirts made.
Right? Something that I know I can relate to is photography, videography, and just sort of design as a whole. So, one of my side hustles that I haven't touched in maybe 2 years, and I'm not sure if I will come back to it, but it's sort of on the back burner of my brain right now is selling my prints of my pictures. That's if you have some like really interesting pictures that you think would make cool wall art, if you've traveled a bunch of places and you think that people would be interested in viewing that, then you can definitely sell prints of your own photos pretty easily.
Mhm.
You can market your photography or videography skills for different sort of events. I mean, weddings, engagement, shoots, family photos, that comes to mind pretty quickly. Or you can go more of the corporate, small business side of things, which is sort of the direction that I took my photography and doing branding shoots for businesses. There's a whole big wealth of different ways to make money with photography and videography. You can also sell your LUTs or presets for like Premiere Pro or Lightroom for people who want a really like beautiful, stylized type of image but don't know how to get it. And you have those skills, you can make money doing that. More along the lines of like the design, like graphic design aspect, you can list your services on different websites like Fiverr, where you can create logos or yeah, just kind of do whatever people need of you, just sort of one-off tasks and hopefully get some returning clients doing that too.
I actually stumbled upon Fiverr. I don't even know how I came across it, but I seen that there's people that actually list services like listening, and
Oh.
you could be like a professional listener. I'm like, I don't have the patience for that. Like, you will bitch and bitch, and I'm gonna be like, fix your life.
Yeah, sounds like a diet therapist, maybe.
Right, right.
Yeah, that I mean that's cool though. Like that's getting creative. If you have the patience, then good for you.
There's a job for literally anything and everything in this
Hmm.
world. Like, if you can dream it up and make it happen, you can do it.
Yeah. There's a book that I read recently called Rental Person Who Does Nothing. And it's kind of
Oh,
just like a short memoir of this guy in Japan who got famous on Twitter because he just like rents himself out for the day or for certain events, and people just request to have him like come along to a concert that they want to go to, but no one wants to go with
cute.
them. Or maybe they like are super unproductive at home and the only way they can get work done is if there's someone else in the room and they'll just like rent him to like sit with them for the day.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's like you said, there's literally like there's a market for everything. But that's a good book.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so interested and I want to know more about this person. And how do you
Yeah.
even like, how do you, I feel like those niches just kind of happen to you. Like, you
Hmm.
don't just like, you have to fall into it.
Yeah, for sure. I won't give any spoilers on like the
Right.
backstory. So yeah, you should check it out.
I will.
But here's one for you, Mims. Shopping,
Yeah.
maybe downsizing. So if you just like to buy things and you have like a good eye for design and you have like a certain aesthetic, then you can definitely get your shopping needs filled and then resell those things on like Poshmark or Marketplace and make some money doing it. And then you both get to like enjoy your hobby while making money. And that's like the best of both worlds.
There's a lot of ways that you can go about doing that. Like, you can do it on a platform like that, or you can, I know a lot of people do like style boxes. So if you have like a very specific style, or maybe you cater to different people's styles and you have like a
Mhm.
keen eye and people are on a budget. I know some people that do like, okay, I'm going to send you 5 items. They're all going to be under, the whole outfit's going to be under 30 bucks. You send back what you don't want, you keep what you want, and they personalize it. And I think that's super cool. Like, that is like a dream job for me, but that
I
is just,
love that.
I know, it's so fun.
That's so cool. Yeah, I feel like when I got an office job a couple months ago, like I could have used that to be like, I don't want to do this on my own, but I know that I need like
Yeah.
professional clothing. I could have used a style box. So there you
Right,
go. That's a good
exactly.
idea.
And it opens you up to maybe something you wouldn't have picked out on your own,
Mhm.
or like, you're not a great shopper and you're
Yeah.
just like, I hate to be here. I don't see any like value in being here. And then they curate it for you and you're like, I can rock this. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
that's cool. Yeah, or maybe more in my situation with like in this category, downsizing, I've had just like a pile of things in my bedroom to go through and like donate or try and sell. And it's just been sitting there for so long. And I finally just like listed everything on Marketplace and a couple things on Poshmark. And I'm like, it's that easy to just like make money from things that have literally been sitting in a pile to get rid of.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, there's definitely options.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be clothes. Like, I've sold all
Hmm.
sorts of things on eBay.
Yeah.
And just, it could be like, I went to like an abandoned house and I found like a vintage radio and I bought it for $2 and I sold it for 25. Like, it's
Oh my
just,
God.
it's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fun. Another category is a little bit more broad, but maybe you work from home or just have like a super flexible schedule. Some ways to make money through a side hustle is renting out your car through a website or like a
Mm.
platform called Turo, or drive for Uber and Lyft. Or maybe you're really good at like assembling IKEA furniture, and that can be a side hustle in and of
Oh,
itself.
yeah.
Or
There's
just
money in that.
yeah, for sure. Because I know like some people just do not have the patience for it. So yeah, that's kind of like solving puzzles is if that's your thing, that's a good side hustle. Or just sort of general like lawn care, snow removal things that just need to get done.
There's a new app, I forget what it's called, but you can rent out your backyard if it's like fenced in, or
Oh,
if you maybe are on like a big plot of land, to people that have dogs and that they don't like, they're maybe not great with interacting with other dogs and they don't want to go
mhm.
to the dog park, or maybe they're not surrounded by a lot of parks that they can go to,
Yeah,
like maybe they live in the city. You can rent out your backyard for a specific amount of time and yeah, let the dogs just run free.
that's such a good idea. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
So another side hustle is if you are really good or interested in writing or editing, then you can write a book like Mims has been working on, or you can write website copy. So this goes back to like maybe listing your services on Fiverr. I've used Fiverr a lot for like blog posts on a website that I just
Mm.
like don't have the time for, and they'll do all the research and you kind of just give them some categories. So if you like writing, that's a
Cool.
really good idea. or maybe looking over someone's resume or wedding vows or, anything like
Ooh.
that. And then you just get to like learn a whole bunch of random shit too, which is like a bonus.
Yeah.
And then also, of course, tutoring services. If you are really good at writing and you're really good with grammar, then you can definitely find people who need help with in that category.
Yeah, and tutoring and things, it can even be like niche things. Like I
Mhm.
would love a tutor to help me drive a stick. Like I don't know how to drive manual. I need to have somebody that isn't my husband. Not that he's a bad teacher, but I just like don't want to fuck up. And it's like there's
Mhm.
niches out there that people could use help with, and maybe they don't want to ask somebody because it's like they may think, oh, I don't want them to think less of me, or I should know this. I should be able to make scrambled eggs or something like that.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of like maybe it's easier to go to a stranger for some of those things than like feel the pressure of like trying to impress someone that you know.
Absolutely.
Mhm. So I'm going to give two more categories before we go into just a couple of tips for how to be successful. The last, second to last one is if you are really musical, if you're good at singing or playing an instrument, then of course there's like the performing at concerts or busking in the streets or giving some lessons on how to play piano or how to be a better singer. All of those things are definitely sought after talents.
Private shows too,
Private
like if you
shows.
if
Yeah,
you
for
play the
fancy
violin.
dinners.
Yeah, exactly.
hmm And then I've got to give a shout out to real estate as a side hustle. It can definitely become more than a side hustle, but that's for sure how it has started out for me is just like wanting a little bit of extra income on the side. So maybe you start small and you just rent out your basement on Airbnb, or you get a duplex and rent out the other half, and then that other half is covering your mortgage. And it's kind of addicting. You start to like accumulate more properties as you are making money with your rentals. Or maybe you don't want to deal with like tenants, but you have a house that is your own and you've done improvements to it, and maybe interest rates drop a lot in the future and it makes sense to refinance, and you can just take that cash right out of your home and have that as extra spending money.
Right.
So real estate is definitely like it's a good one. I'm sure for those of you who have listened to this podcast know how passionate Mims and I are about that.
Absolutely.
So we're going to end it with just a couple of tips for being successful in your side hustle. So I think a really big tip is just to collaborate with other people and brands by working with other individuals or companies. It just spreads your name so much farther. You get recommendations. Other people from like their own followers will find you on like social media and things like that. So maybe you want to have guests on your podcast, or you find a writer to help make your website better, and that's a collaboration. Or you're an artist and you just don't know how to show your art in a way that like speaks to other people. So you hire a photographer to get better pictures of your art to sell it that
Mm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're a dancer and you make cool videos with a videographer and you have a musician and you all work together and now you have three followings that your name is being spread to.
Right.
So collaboration is really big.
Yeah.
The next tip is to just be really consistent with your social media strategy. I can't say this enough. People spend a lot of time on their phones and a lot of time on Instagram and on TikTok. So make sure you take advantage of those things and that you're posting often and consistently. Make sure to choose the best platform for your side hustle. So there are definitely like Instagram is more visual, and maybe you can offer some like tax services on the side, but like that might not be the best platform to find clients for. Just kind of make sure you do your research so you're not looking for work in the wrong places.
Right.
And of course, choose a side hustle that works with your schedule and day job. So if you don't have a lot of flexibility, then make sure that you choose a side hustle that can be kind of on your own time and you're not being stuck to a really strict schedule.
Yeah, and your side hustle shouldn't it should spark joy. That's why you started
Yes.
it, right? It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be something that bogs you down or you're like dreading to do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
you should because then what's the point of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely the biggest thing is like why side hustles are so like awesome. It's because it's a fun way for you to make money. It's not just like going to do the daily grind or whatever. Yeah, it should spark joy for sure. And the last tip is if your side hustle is just blowing up and you're making a bunch of money from it, then don't hesitate to take the leap to full time. If you think you can
Hmm.
make a career out of it and you're being realistic with yourself, you're not being hopeful, you think you can actually do it, then take that leap because it's going to take you in far places.
Absolutely. I seen this quote the other day that was mostly directed towards artists, but I guess anybody that has like a passion is your day job is actually your side hustle, and your side hustle, like your painting or your
Hmm.
writing or your photography, is actually your job. So it's if you flip that mindset of okay, I go to work to fuel
Hmm.
all of the things that I want to actually do in my life, it kind of changes your perspective.
Yeah, I that's a really interesting way to think about that. I really like that quote.
Yeah, me too.
Um, Cool. Well, let us know if you have taken the leap to taking your passion to a side hustle. We would love to hear about your stories of success or failure or the
Mm,
different things that you've tried. I think it's so interesting to be able to like take your passions and just like make something of it and not just have it be for you, but to share it with others. So um,
yeah.
yeah, hopefully you get inspired and try to make some money from something that you just are doing already.
Yeah. And I also want to know, I'm sure Lexi does too, all the different side hustles we didn't mention. Like, I want to
Mhm.
know what you do and that is not, nobody's even heard of. I want to know all that because it's really interesting.
Yeah,
I'm
this
very interested by it.
right. This is not an all-inclusive list by any means. So
Sure.
feel free to engage with us on social media, leave us a comment on YouTube, do all of the things. We appreciate you for being here week after week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye. Passive Aggressive Income was written, recorded, edited, and produced by co-hosts and creators Mims and Lexi. We truly want to thank our listeners, collaborators, friends, and family that continuously support us for all the love we receive. If you enjoy our show, please give us a glowing rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram to see what we are up to. For any inquiries, please email passiveaggressiveincome2023@gmail.com. Episodes of Passive Aggressive Income are available wherever you listen to podcasts, so make sure to subscribe and like us on your favorite streaming platform.